Only 2,000 words? Let's see. Give me just a second, buddy. Alright, friend. You may actually want to send that to me in a message so I can open it up and take a look at it. Because if I can edit it, some people might take it, so keep that in mind. The Conference Elite. Let's take a look here. You know what? Let me spit out my gum. Hang on a second. Alright. Let's take a look at this. Hey Jeff, pass me another bill, will you? All this rock chewing is making me thirsty, Carl said. Jeff looked over at Captain Carl. Sorry, sir, the reserves have run dry. We've been mining for ages, can't remember our last break. The two pilots had recently saved up enough money to purchase one of the Ore's newest Exumer-class vessels, the Hulk. It is said that this new ship has to have a mining yield not thought possible for a single craft, so Jeff and Carl sprung at the chance to get their hands on one the moment it was up in the nearby market. They had to pay top dollar, but in their eyes it was worth every blast disc spent. The days of all the trade routes to G44 were filled with the brim with pirates and their low-life scum. The travel was very difficult for the non-wealthy, but now they were going to be rich. There was going to be nothing but champagne and exotic dances from here on out. So far already, I'm kind of liking this. I'm not going to lie. The idea of having beer and exotic dancers in a mining ship, that's like my great idea of having an Eve dance party. I mean, I'm thinking of getting my buddy to spin for us. I don't spin anymore. I was a DJ for 8 years. I was thinking of having him be a DJ for like a Saturday night or something, and we have like an Eve dance party while we're all questing and PvPing and whatnot. Let's see. Orca Command is saying that they need to keep getting weird ratings on Deep Scan, said Jeff. Jeff said, pulling his headset off one ear. Curl looked over to Jeff. He's probably just more salvaging ships looking for scraps. They're all over the place out here. Commander's always a little dodger in his ops because the CEO always jumps down their throats when he catches them asleep at the helm. Anyways, it's high sec in a .7, so in a .7 no less. What is there to worry about? Jeff thought for a moment. Yeah, you're right. I'll go check down below for some more brew. Be back in a few. With Jeff exiting the bridge, Carl looked back to the control panel. The screen which showed the strip miner's productivity beeped, announcing their cycle had completed. He glanced over the cargo hold and touched the ore bay section. The bay was almost full. He'd have to jettison out for Orca to pick up soon. His new hook was definitely king in yield, but man, it was bothersome to have to keep watching the ore bay. In their last mining ship, Carl and Jeff would just turn on the ship's strip miners and search the web, and it would all be worth it because the ship was going to put them on the map. Carl leaned back and glanced at the port side view pane. Space was magnificent, endless and just chock full of possibilities. He stared out past the many mining ships of the rest of his fleet, gazing at the suns of distant systems that always jumped to travel into. Carl would appreciate the beauty that stars emanated, but he couldn't help but feel regret for not being more aggressive in life. He just figured that he was only cut out to mine. It was an easy life, a safe one, and well, at the moment was very good at it. Besides, he still had corp loans to pay off, so what other choice did he have? He closed his eyes and imagined the high, sophisticated life of the Amar socialites and how soon he would join them in their fancy parties. That was only a matter of time. So far, I like how the main character already has some things that he wants to do, and is in the middle of doing them. So far, I mean, from an English standpoint, the English major in me is like, so far his story is off to a great point, but I'm wondering when things are going to change. Of course, the other part of me is like, just fucking read the goddamn story. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Loyal Anon strode proudly towards his Alliance-issued catalyst. He'd received urgent reports from the top brass that code scouts in the nearby system had acquired targets settling into his pod. The neural interface cables connected throughout his body once again, Capsular and ship one. Preparing to undock, he checked the most recent maintenance reports on the blasters and scanned over the ammo gauges. After running his pre-flight checkups, he opened his fleet comms and the code brethren waiting his orders. Listen up! Our scouts have sent word. There are reports of a large fleet engaging illegal mining operators out in the forge. This system is known as Selene, and they're in a belt orbiting Planet 5, just 4 jumps from our current location. This trip will be a short one, but rest assured, gentlemen, any trip, regardless of length, is worthwhile. As long as you're spreading the word of James. As I speak, these heretics blaspheme the ways of the Conference Fleet and would spit on the holy New Hellman Code of Conduct, and as such, we will bring the light of our Savior to those few that have been left in the darkness. They will assimilate themselves in the shepherd's flock or suffer the fate of the betrayer. We have not been honored by the presence of our enforcement, as they feel our reach is not sufficient. Well, I can assure you all that this is false ally of those found outside of our embrace, because nothing and no one is more eternal and everlasting than the code and its agents. Brothers, run your pre-fleet ammo system checks. We undock in 2 minutes. I like how you added the flavor for the code. How they're all like religious based and stuff. I don't know. I really like how they're just so like religious nuts. I like that. That's awesome. Orca Command to Hulk 7. You need to jettison your ore. I've not seen a can from your shipment overnight. I'm noticing that the contribution log. It will affect your payout if it happens again. Carl shook his head, trying to ward off the fatigue that came from the mining too long. The voice bellowing through the communication speakers on his desk had woken him. He'd fallen asleep. Mining is so goddamn boring. Where the hell is Jeff with my beer? Like, I can't do anything by himself, he thought. Pulling his cargo bag up on the nearby monitor, he gave the orders to just leave at his house. This is Hulk 7. Belts far away. Closing the comms lines, he filled with the strip miners and reset the cycle time. His shift in the belt was almost over. He almost felt robotic. He hadn't even had any goddamn beer left. What is he supposed to do now? Carl rose from his seat at the helm and began walking out of the bridge. He'd go find Jeff, and when he did, he'd damn well better have something alcoholic in hand. Sirens screamed, warnings flashed from the most recent directional scans readings, and crew members scrambled their prediction report the Orca command ship. Open an all-fleet comms line. I want to be in warp within 30. A line, barked the ship's captain. This is your CEO. We have hostiles inbound. Repeat, hostiles inbound. Closing at 2 AU per second. A line to the nearest station. In response, the fleet turned in unison, akin to some strange space ballet. Sir, the fleet's prepared for warp. All but Hulk 7 are aligned out, said a nearby crew member. The captain slammed his fist on the command desk, livid and close to destroying the open communications button. He said, God damn it, Carl! This is not a fucking drill! Move that piece of shit now! The forward scout informed Loyal Anon that the present system has been known the fleet of mining heretics was scrambling to make warp. He'd been given the command to uncloak his Mesherel at all costs and ensure the command ship was unable to leave. He didn't even think twice. His faith in the code was unshakable, and he knew that he had been asked of him. He stood like collision course with the fat, greedy bitch, who was now so plump full of ore, the thrusters exploded to life and giant plumes of exhaust flames erupted from them. At an accelerating horrific speeds, the Mesherel was sent screaming towards his target. With one final permit scan, he confirmed in the code database that all the ships and concourse of this mine fleet were indeed unlicensed, and so he pushed the ships to its limit. Overload the front shields! All power to the front shields! Kill the engines! He shouted. Having burnt out his micro-warp drive, the ship fell silent as its engines disengaged and it careened towards its prey. The comms line cackled life as the CEO advised the fleet that there was about 30 seconds remaining until they were on grid. All guns should be set to overheat and all safety set to red. Our primary target is the Orca, secondary on anything about range and Godspeed. To the comms ripped with a chance of the anxious code enforcers 315, 315, 315. I don't know. With that one there, I like how it set the tone for what's about to happen. I don't know, but you kind of feel like you kind of stirred away from the religious heretic type thing going on in that one. I think you kind of moved away from it a little bit too much in this one. Maybe just a little. Maybe I don't know. That's just me. I'm always for having like something be in character. So just reading just that paragraph there, I was kind of feeling like, You know, this guy in particular doesn't feel like he's one of the code, but at the same time, I don't really feel like he's, I don't know, in character. I don't know. That's just my feedback on it. I could be wrong. It is your story. But just feeling like you went from this great set standpoint of setting how the code work. I feel like this particular paragraph, when they're talking about engaging the orca, I feel like it needs more. It needs a slap with some more religious quotes in there, and more about believing in what he's doing and blind faith. Almost like being a martyr, I think, on this one for him in particular. I don't know. I just feel like it wasn't enough on the obsessive religious side. I don't know. That's the way I see code. So I don't know. I mean, it's fine the way it is, but I just kind of feel like it could be more. I don't know. More in your face with the. Yeah. Carlo and Jeff came back to the control room, consumed by chaos. Confusion clutched both pilots as deafening warning signs blared through every speaker. Every screen demanded their attention, all trying to force their eyes towards the threat that was inbound. Frantically, they began clicking the messages and looked at the fleet window. The corp members had all lined out of the belt, must have been for some time because they were 10 kilometers off their port. Time began to slow as the pair watched in horror as a large ship collided with the Orca command, subsequently sending the gigantic ships, as well as the portion of the fleet, soaring in random directions. Immediately, the ships unaffected by the ordeal grabbed warp and left grid. The bump ships immediately scrambled to realign, but all around, tiny explosions began to heraldly rival the Catalyst fleet exiting warp and landing on grid. A hostile fleet of roughly 20 now shared the field. The talons of hopelessness clutched the souls of the pair as they watched to do nothing but. The talons of helplessness clutched the souls of the pair, and they could do nothing but watch as the first volleys rang out. Shields and armor plates were stripped in an instant as the shot struck true, sending the targeted ships to structure. All communication lines suddenly came to life with death throes of their corporal mates. Grown men brought to the childless whimpers died to projectiles as entire decks had transformed into utter madness as the air became congested with deadly shrapnel. The command ship's shields began to lose shimmer as they overloaded from the damage they'd been mitigating. No longer able to withstand the onslaught, massive holes were punched in the ship's hulls, and even less fortunate were they met by cold space airless, by the space's cold airless bosom. No longer able to withstand the relentless assault, the engines went critical and the ship was completely consumed by a massive blast that sent scrap metal corpses and feet flying in all directions. All that remained of the once proud command ship was a fireball birthed by destruction. "Brace for impact! Get the fuck away from that bulkhead!" yelled Carl. With only minutes to react, the two men grabbed hold of nearby rails. The Hulk rocked violently as the first pieces of debris struck home. The ship's shield warnings wailed as the impacts came wave after wave. Then it was over. The shields complained of severe damage, but they inhaled. Terrified and shell-shocked, the two risked a look out of the viewports. With no survivors, the asteroid battle had been forcefully mutated into a graveyard for the Industrial Corporation. The wrecks of their fallen comrades were now metal coffins and tombstones, signifying the final resting place of the thousands that had fallen. Having wrecked anything within range, the hostile fleet now turned to engage the overwhelming force that was the Concorde emergency response team. Carl and Jeff watched in awe as the Concorde commander spearheaded the assault, brawling its way through the fleet, terminating each ship one by one. Both instantly found their new calling, with fires of vengeance burning their high stakes to orbit edge. Sparks flared, fire erupted, and raw metal was thrown in all directions. The Concorde police force was bringing down Leonon's ship all around him. Wrenching his emergency eject lever, he had time for one last shot without a permit.